This is Stephen Janis reporting for the Real News Network in Baltimore City, Maryland. We're outside Mitchell Courthouse where the trial of Officer Edward Nero has just concluded, and we're talking about the implications of the case on many things, including policing, arrests, and the legal system itself. And we're here with Todd Oppenhiem, who ran for judge. Maybe successful, we don't know yet. I mean, he could still get the Republican nomination, correct?
Fingers crossed, yeah.
Okay. But you have written a lot of incredibly insightful essays about this case, not the case itself, but how it differs from the way your clients are treated as a public defender. So now we're at a point where we're talking about specifically an arrest of an officer. Arrest, and they're sort of prosecuting about the arrest. And you have some concerns because your clients aren't necessarily afforded the same sort of legal, I guess would be the bar in terms of arresting them, right?
Yeah, there's a bit of a duplicity going on in the theory of the prosecution now, in that they seem to be concerned with people's Fourth Amendment rights and in the way that the police affected the arrest of Freddie Gray. Meanwhile, there's tons of cases going on in the courts now, cases that I have personally, where people's rights are arguably violated. And under the same theory, the state is kind of going against it in this case. So they're kind of arguing against their normal stance.
Well, so because they prosecute, we know that Baltimore City probably had a record number of illegal arrests during the zero tolerance. And still prosecutors prosecute a lot of questionable arrests. How are those two things, what's going on in the Freddie Gray trial and the fact that they're prosecuting the arrest, are those two things tenable in the context of a fair legal system?
Well, we would hope that going forward they would take a closer look at the cases that are going through the system, but that's not what's happening right now. It's to the point now where defense attorneys are kind of writing down every word that's being uttered in court, thinking about going and pulling tapes of statements from lead prosecutors in these cases, and then applying them in cases where they're arguing the exact opposite, arguing against people's rights instead of really scrutinizing police conduct. So it's this strange moment where things are being challenged by the state that we've always wanted, but yet at the same time, cases are still moving through the system, and those arguments aren't being put forth.
Well, so are you still seeing cases that are, marginal arrests that's similar to Freddie Gray, where someone chases someone or someone does something that is seemingly doesn't rise to the legal standards of arrest? Are you still seeing cases like that in your office?
Yes, absolutely. With this year, they're called suppression hearings. When someone's Fourth Amendment rights are violated or you perceive a violation, you can challenge those in a hearing with a judge before you actually have a trial. And I've had those hearings this year. I've lost some of them and then had to carry out the actual jury trial and won on those factual issues in front of juries where jurors didn't feel that the police conduct was up to par, where there's still evidence found on a defendant. So those issues are certainly still going on. Maybe not to the degree during zero tolerance, but they're still prevalent.
Right. And so what do you think, should be done? I mean, is there something that, public defenders are going to do? And you're saying they're going to be listening to the trial, the tapes. What else are you going to do after this trial in terms of adjusting your defense? Is there anything you're going to do to adapt to what's occurred?
Well, there's hyperboles and suggestions that we'll make in front of jurors when we make arguments to begin with, to the point where you might think that a case is a bad action by the police, and we throw something out there like the officer should be charged in this. Well, in this case, that's what the state is saying, that an arrest constitutes an assault. So is it really a hyperbole anymore? Is it really an unrealistic situation when that's what in fact is being prosecuted? So saying that now and being objected to, I don't know that that has the same validity anymore.
Well, and that raises a great question. I mean, the police will say, well, if you start arresting us for arresting people, we're not going to be able to do our jobs. How do you respond to that?
I respond to that as a citizen and a taxpayer, and I think that there's merit to that claim. I mean, you can't. We're not anarchists, even the most bleeding heart public defenders amongst us who see the injustices every day. We also recognize that police have a job to do and there's good police out there. And you can't totally chill the action of police officers. So the way I look at it is that it's just a very difficult case that's being prosecuted right now in the Nero case. There's obvious examples where there's been citizen deaths at the hands of police, namely Tyrone West and Anthony Anderson, where there could have been a much more colorable claim for assault, maybe manslaughter, even worse. But these are such tough cases for the state to put forth, especially for the first time in these situations. So, things have their time and their place, and everyone has to respect that, and certainly everyone deserves an equal defense, I think.
Okay. All right, well, listen, thank you, Todd. We appreciate you talking to us. This is Stephen Janis reporting for the Real News Network. We're going to continue to cover the trial and hopefully talk to you again soon. Thank you.